Hi there. So I have to talk about something and change gears a little bit and direction. Is focus back on what was in the media limelight before, this Berlin Wall of 2 meters social distancing was invented for us for basically a flu. And the outrageous lockdown of all our freedoms and rights as human beings. What was the kind of standout stories that, were not being too highlighted in the press in proportion to their size? And that's the entire Ghislaine Maxwell Epstein scandal with Prince Andrew involved. And then the scope of this thing was starting to become apparent. Les Wexner, highly close to Epstein, top guy, Victoria's Secret, and Abercrombie and Fitch, two brands which have thousands of models working for them, of young, nubile female models, impeccably chosen, not bedraggled, of many years of hard labor type of woman off the street. These were young, vibrant, teens that were barely like 18, most of them. And you start to see this entire network, and Les Wexner and Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, and it gets bigger and bigger, and it's massive. We have to keep our focus on that as well, because this distraction cannot allow them to get away with what's going on. The entire pornography industry as well is very much a similar type of person that crops up, going right back to the L. Goldstein, who is vehemently anti-Christian, hates Christianity, and was basically did as much as he could to destroy the the innocence of Christian women in the eyes of Christian men, white females specifically. And as much as these same people and their group always advocate that we all the same and we all equal, seem to very specifically choose straight, white female young of Christian background, ethnic Europeans basically, for all of their sordid purposes. I mean, you just look at the young girls that were involved with Epstein, with Prince Andrew, and then you go into your pornography and so on and so on. It's absolutely outrageous. And it's very clear. And this is deliberate, and this is an attack, and it's been an attack for many decades. As I would say almost more important to them than any of the other attacks, economic or anything else, is this, for some reason. And I would say coveting and jealousy and hatred are the primary reasons, but I mean, who knows? It's almost irrelevant because the results are the same. But we must just remember what was going on before all this COVID-19 nonsense and how much is being covered up now, because this thing is just so massive. It's bigger than the September 11th in many ways. It's worse in many ways. I believe it's worse. I cannot believe that people can't see that people can't question that. Also including Donald Trump, including people in power, including in the FBI, normal police departments in Britain and in America. These colossal kind of in-your-face crimes and exposures. Then it gets even worse when you go into the kind of things that are being hinted at, with this Pizzagate and even younger children on the Isle of Wight, which is found in a hostel. I think it was a foster kids hostel on the Isle of Wight, if I'm not mistaken, many years ago. Some very sordid things were discovered there. Bodies of young children in basements and things like that. But that was many decades ago. But funny enough, they never really caught anybody. Or, like how could they not see that this is a massive conspiracy within itself? But very interesting things are going to be taking place. And for them to turn around when they are the ones that are now being scrutinized, and I say them, I'm talking about this elite circle of people that are rolling out Bill Gates to now tell us what we're going to do with our bodies about vaccines, and we will not be allowed to leave our homes, etc., etc. It's so outrageous that it's like almost too big. We're too close to the face of this thing. You need to back off 3 million miles to see the picture of the whole thing. And which brings me to David Icke, and who's like one of these guys who will get you like almost to the truth, and then start talking about interdimensional aliens, and the Queen is a reptilian alien of an interdimensional kind, and they're royal family, and they're all over the world, and these people can shapeshift. I mean, it just becomes like, he gets you that close, but then he absolutely blows everybody out the water. So, in a way, I'm reluctant to arrest my trust into this guy. But anyway, the main thing is to just look at what's taken place, and how much of a massive smokescreen this thing is now with, COVID-19, very badly, in my opinion, choreographed on the news. It just looked fake to me from the word go, what was happening in Wuhan with its Kung flu over there. It reminded me a lot of the white helmets and the Syrian gas attack type of footage. And then men marching up a street, and you're showing it from different angles, the same bloody street, spraying steam, on the tarmac and on the sidewalk, steam or something like that, or dust, or like some kind of powder. It looked mainly like a steam. And this is supposed to be how you deal with viruses. A very strange behavior of locking everybody indoors, that in countries that are going into summer, where the outdoors is the end of their flu season, basically, always, especially the early summer, because you're getting sunlight, and that ruins bacteria and viruses. They do not survive in direct sunlight very well. And clean air, ozone, all kinds of things that are extremely important for your health as well, to keep your immunity up. So there's these kind of conundrums that are going on that are just absolutely, fly in the face of any kind of logic. To figure out exactly all that's going on, it's incredibly, you run from kind of pillar to post. I don't take this thing at face value at all, and I don't think anybody, most people don't. The 30% of clowns that think that it's just as the mainstream media tells them, have the good luck for them that they've got the entire establishment, police force and army behind them. I mean, just go and look in South Africa, where they've got the army lined up on the beach to stop people from going surfing. Think about that, in the bright sunshine in the ice cold Atlantic, fresh ocean, sea, plus a sea breeze. You may not go surfing because of this COVID-19. It's absolutely obscene. But we must just keep focusing and then maybe just put that out there of what's going on with this whole kind of exposure of the pedophile rings, basically. And the worst of it was not what you saw with Prince Andrew, because those girls were still, 16, 15, 16, 17, whatever. There's other things going on that are far, far worse. I mean, the things that, Pizzagate is implicated in is phenomenal. And they have some very strange little posts and messages that these people make, like Tom Hanks showing a little child's shoe, all these strange kind of behaviors of the right across the board, Hollywood stars to politicians to whoever, almost like it's a joke to them. But hopefully we have somebody that's on the case. Hopefully. In the meantime, we have to deal with a well-known eugenicist, IT guy, funny enough, telling us that we must stay indoors and until the vaccine is found. We're not allowed to fly. We're not allowed to go traveling. Who is this guy? This is the chutzpah of this whole thing, as they say. It's just phenomenal. It's beyond phenomenal. So he's telling people not to fly, and we're going to have a vaccine. He's a well-known eugenicist, which basically is a reverse Nazi. They want to get rid of ethnic Europeans for the most part, but generally they want the global population to be radically reduced. And you're going to trust this guy, and this is something I've been guilty of in the past. Anybody who's thinking, oh, there's too many people in the world, and have you ever just thought, well, you also are people and you also in this world, so what right do you really have to say that? And it's basically this sociopathic ways that we go about our daily lives, and people have accepted as the norm within themselves as well as within our absolutely diabolical kind of powers that shouldn't be. But the people don't see the facts. People are too blind to see the facts, which is very worrying as well. The very basic things. It's like in your face stuff. It's not even conspiracy theory stuff. In fact, the conspiracy theorists could be out of work pretty soon, because the stuff that's real is enough to keep people going for years, including this outrageous kind of vaccine and an ID to make sure you've had the vaccine. It's very Revelation-esque, where I've been told don't talk about ancient prophecies and things like this, that, and the other. But you got to start to question it. Or are they doing that for effect to just create so much fear? Well, I'm not so sure, because they're currently getting away with murder and many other things. But just look at the damage that this pornography group that takes girls, and I don't know how they get them, I don't know all the processes, but they are on there, they're on the internet, and they essentially the most voluptuous, attractive young parts of our society, and this is being removed and defiled forever. They're not becoming childbearing, they're not becoming anything else and they've been taken in large numbers in European countries, in America, in Australia, globally. They are on the internet. Maybe they're offering themselves up or they're coerced into it, but I've also have a suspicion that the Victoria's Secret modeling recruitment process might have been heavily involved in getting some of these girls into this compromising situations. And they're masters at manipulating them, using other oldest, but also very attractive girls as their madams to kind of, who are like 24, 25. And the generation that we now have of females, they absolutely idolize other attractive women of this age group, which either way, however they're doing it, it's a massive destruction to our society. And those girls are causing a huge chunk out of the flesh of the Christian, kind of ethnic European world, because the numbers are just so vast, and they've taken the absolute cream of the crop, essentially. If you just took health and virility and your best looking kind of specimens. Any one of these things being exposed is worthy of just complete investigation by any reporter, any news person. They've been dead quiet. They've never investigated all these things that are right in people's faces. Where did these girls come from on the internet? In all the pornography and all the sites like that. Exactly how are they getting them involved in this? What its consequences are for our society. But we have a mainstream media that absolutely despise us, I believe. It's geared towards our demise and has been for I don't know how long, because it's so big, this thing. Like, World War II already was, if you look at it now in retrospect, where they only had the radio, a little bit of film, and the newspaper, and it was ironclad control to get English people into this mindset that they must kill the German, to deceive them so that the Germans were now the aggressor on Britain, and to deceive the Germans too on the other side, is no mean feat. But it was much more doable in those days. And you start to really wonder about things. Especially seeing how we have like a global Weimar Republic, essentially, or their dream world. And you see what books the Nazis were actually destroying. Now it's clear to me. And, I never thought I never quite understood that. Why were they destroying books? And you think it's like, poetry and great novels and epic novels and science. But no, it was degeneracy that they were burning. And this was also done masterfully by the media oligarchs in imprinting it into our minds that this is, the worst thing that the Nazis did, one of their crimes. They were hiding, literature and burning literature. Such Luddites, Well, we'll see where this is all going. And I'm just, like I said, I'm really hoping that there's somebody that's really on the case and is going to crack some of these people down. Because to allow what's going on is absolutely detrimental to, just on that front alone. I'm just talking about the kind of exposure of these girls on the world scene of the powers that shouldn't be, and entire islands in the all over the world, and exotic locations where they have this kind of porn world going on. Epstein's Island was just one of them, I believe. There's probably more. But there's no investigative reporters. They do not exist, which is astonishing. How can you have such a vast number of employed people that are not questioning things? But then you understand that, every one of us has become a little bit of a sociopath. And that's something we've got to get out of our minds. Like when I used to think, well, there's just too many people in the world. It's not for you to say or for me to say. And actually, the planet is a massive planet. If it's, looked after properly, it's not a problem at all. If you're cramming them all into one city in London, New York, or Cape Town, then it is absolutely a problem. It becomes a problem for the people living in those places. They create an absolute dead spot of nature in those places, which is like a cancer and spreads. So I think cities are a problem. Overpopulated cities where they've ruined African economies, ruined African leadership, Indian leadership, etc., and they've all migrated to absolutely collapse European cities, American cities, etc. But that's going off the case. So I just want everybody to go back, focus straight back onto this Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein, and not to say that they're the only two. I think that they're just the tip of the iceberg. Maybe not even the top of the iceberg. It's just a fraction of the iceberg that we saw. Anyway, that's all for this post. Ciao.